China's Belt and Road Initiative is trapping many countries in debt. 4 countries have stopped paying the money back, and 12 others are at risk. Falun Gong practitioners gathered in Washington, D.C. to call for the end of the persecution in China. U.S. congressmen and think tanks supported them. Last year, apocalyptic floods hit Zhengzhou, China. Now, people trying to mourn were stopped by authorities and banned from giving flowers. A massive tornado hit Lianyungang, China. 1 person is dead and 25 are injured, with other extensive damages. 2 Pizza Huts in China were discovered to have unsafe food practices. Pizza Hut China is owned by Yum Holdings, which has had a lot of food issues recently. Finally, U.S. House Representative Nancy Pelosi plans to visit Taiwan in August. China complained that this would encourage Taiwanese separatist forces. Let's get into it. Welcome to Sound of Hope News. My name is Daniela Wolensack, and today is July 22nd. China's Belt and Road Initiative is trapping many countries in debt. Recently, Sri Lanka, Lebanon, Suriname, and Zambia have successively defaulted on their debts to China. A default is when the borrower stops making payments on a debt. At least 12 other countries are also at risk of defaulting. They include Argentina, Tunisia, Ghana, and Egypt, just to name a few. Beijing is about to suffer serious consequences that are its own doing. According to Reuters, the defaulting countries have a combined $400 billion in outstanding debts. Sri Lanka has gone bankrupt and was the first Asia-Pacific country to default on its debts. Argentina has the highest debt. It exceeds $150 billion. Ecuador and Egypt are second, each between $40 billion and $45 billion. Egypt has already turned to the International Monetary Fund for help. Pakistan is on the brink of a crisis due to high energy import prices. Its foreign exchange reserve dropped to $9.8 billion at one point. Analysts concluded that the Chinese Communist Party's Belt and Road Initiative causes developing countries with fragile economies to fall into cruel debt traps. China affairs expert Pei Minxin wrote about the situation, said that Beijing has provided hundreds of billions in loans to poor countries over the past 15 years. These loans have been criticized as insidious debt traps. The ultimate goal of the loans was to turn these poor countries into China's vassal states. Today, these troubled countries are facing capital flight, food shortages, and are unable to repay the Chinese loans. Pei also said that the world economy is under the weather currently. Therefore, the Chinese Communist Party should brace itself for a crisis of its own doing. More than 1,500 adherents of the Falun Gong spiritual faith gathered in Washington, D.C. on July 21st. They held a rally against the 23-year-long persecution in China. Dozens of speakers denounced the Chinese Communist regime's unethical persecution of the practice, also known as Falun Dafa. Speakers included U.S. congressmen, members of U.S. think tanks, and Falun Gong representatives. The rally was followed by a march from the National Mall to Freedom Plaza. In the evening, a candlelight vigil was held in front of the Washington Monument. Commissioner Eric Ueland of the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom spoke at the rally. He said the condition of religious freedom in China has rapidly deteriorated in the past decade. U.S. CIRF had repeatedly kept track of the persecution of Falun Gong, and that some practitioners have even died at the hands of Chinese officials. He said, quote, "This shocks the conscience and should seize our souls." Speakers brought awareness to the forced organ harvesting of detained Falun Gong practitioners. They warned of the Chinese Communist Party's threat to the United States. Representative Steve Chabot said forced organ harvesting is one of the most barbaric practices in human history. He called on Congress to take aggressive actions against the crime. He stated, quote, "America is finally waking up to the threat posed by China, and we all need to hear your story, understand how brutal the CCP has been to you, and learn from your experience." Speakers asked listeners to support the Stop Forced Organ Harvesting Act of 2021. This legislation will sanction those responsible for forced organ harvesting. It will also prohibit the export of medical devices used in the grisly practice. It's been 1 year since devastating floods hit Zhengzhou, China. Chinese authorities strangely banned people from paying homage on site to the victims. They were not allowed to offer flowers. The Chinese media was also silent about the anniversary. In late July 2021, Henan province suffered nonstop heavy rain. This caused the water level in dozens of large and medium-sized reservoirs to exceed their warning limit. On the evening of the 20th that year, during the rush hour, the Zhengzhou Metro Line No. 5 was flooded, and more than 500 passengers were trapped in a subway train. Another hard-hit area was the Jingguang Road tunnel. It too quickly flooded. The authorities concluded that 380 people had died or went missing in Zhengzhou. Locals suspected the number was much higher. This year, people traveled to the Zhengzhou Metro Line 5 to lay flowers. The police quickly confiscated the flowers, and Zhengzhou issued a ban on them. People secretly came to offer flowers anyway. A netizen in Zhengzhou reported that he ordered 2 bouquets at noon. He planned to go to the tunnel to mourn after work. Later, the flower shop owner called back and said that he could not sell flowers to him because that day, all the flower shops in Zhengzhou were not allowed to sell flowers to those mourning. All who ordered would be called one by one to confirm. On the 21st, a professor at Tsinghua University Law School, Lao Dongyan, posted on Weibo, "All individuals' rights are gradually being transformed into privileges that must be approved before they can be exercised. Approval is required for speaking and traveling. Will there be a day when even breathing will have to be approved?" She said that when that happens, how can she still teach that the essence of law is, quote, allowing what the law does not prohibit? A tornado of magnitude 15 to 17 hit Lianyungang, China on July 20th. By 6 p.m. that day, 1 person was killed and 25 were injured. Damages affected over 2,000 people. More than 3,000 houses and more than 600 acres of crops were also damaged. The area lost about 65 million yuan. A member of a telecommunications department in Lianyungang told Sound of Hope reporters, quote, "All communication lines are broken and are being repaired. Repairs are estimated to take 2 to 3 days because we don't have workers here that can fix it. We need engineers from Guanyun to come and help." The same day, in Qinghai, China, a strong sandstorm hit the city. A giant wall of sand covered the sky, and vehicles rushed to escape. The sandstorm lasted 3 or 4 hours, and visibility was less than 500 meters. Undercover reporters found Pizza Huts in China have shocking food safety issues. In 2 stores, one in Harmony Plaza and one in Weigongcun, employees were using expired ingredients. These included meat products, rice, noodles, mushrooms, and tea. They also used old oil, leaving them in the deep fryer for several days. In one store, after 6 days, the oil was black. The store manager still ordered employees to use it. Beijing News has received repeated complaints from Pizza Hut employees, saying the fast food chain has serious food safety problems. According to a former employee, Pizza Hut has standard procedures for handling food and ingredients, but it uses local management to control costs. That's how expired ingredients end up eaten by customers. The restaurant chain has more than 2,600 stores in China, spread over more than 600 cities. Its parent company is Yum China Holdings Limited. Pizza Hut China issued a statement saying that it will close the 2 stores and investigate. According to reports, this was not the first time Yum China has been accused for lack of food safety. In the past, Yum's chicken products had excessive illegal drugs residues inside. Yum concealed the test results from the public. According to the Financial Times, U.S. House of Representative Speaker Nancy Pelosi will take a delegation to Taiwan in August. Her visit had been postponed from April after she tested positive for COVID-19. This is the highest-level U.S. delegation sent to the self-ruled island in 25 years. On Tuesday, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Zhao Lijian slammed the potential visit, saying it sent the wrong signal to Taiwan independence separatist forces and would severely affect Chinese-U.S. relations. Zhao said the United States must be fully responsible for all the consequences caused by this. The Taiwan Travel Act was signed into law by former U.S. President Donald Trump in March 2018. Since then, U.S. officials and lawmakers have embarked on more than 20 trips to the democratically controlled island, CNN reported. Meanwhile, Taiwan faces mounting pressure from China. Beijing has sent record numbers of warplanes near Taiwan. Recently, cross-strait tensions soared to their highest in years. According to Reuters, Pelosi's office has not yet confirmed her travel plans. Thank you so much for listening. If you like what you saw, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much, and see you next Monday.